Hey guys, welcome back to El Pilar Orchids. Thanks for checking in. The art of staking orchid spikes. Now, we should just get some things straight. Technically, these spikes, as they're known as, they are actually inflorescences in the biology world. So that's an inflorescence, a growth on which multiple flowers bloom. So from now on, we'll just call them spikes because, yeah, we just do, right? We're all familiar with like the typical grocery store orchid, of which this is one. It's now in full bloom for us, which is awesome. It's really nice display. This leaf I did pull off just now because this is what happens when you get a plant sometimes from the store, especially phals, because they pot them just like they throw them into new media and they cover the bottom couple leaves with it, and so they like rot out. We've seen this a lot of times. Now they just fall off. Typically it doesn't seem to hurt the stem, so it's got some new growing root tips, and yeah, it is full bloom now, which is great. Yeah, the art of staking. Now it just seems so easy when they come from the store. They are already just kind of staked out and look amazing. There's two reasons why people stake orchids. First is the display. Obviously, certainly for competition, they do it as well. Strategically place flowers, but also for shipping. It's easier to ship the plants and keep the flower spikes when they're staked up. Here's a danger. Why this whole conversation? Here's a danger of growing plants like we do, kind of naturally, a bit more on their side as opposed to upright in the pot. And we tend to just let our spikes grow naturally. We don't really typically stake them. I mean, I think that looks cool when it just, droops and cascades, and most of them will do that. But it gets tricky when they grow like this because then, we have this plant here on this shelf and the window is over here. So of course the spike started growing. It grew down under this leaf here. And so for a while it was growing to the side where of course there was light coming from down. So it was growing towards the light. And so then I propped it up on top of that leaf and yeah, tried to turn the plant as much as I could, but it's still, the spike grew towards the light, towards the window. So now we've got this wonky spike that's at a really hard angle, like kind of to display. We're going to let it bloom out and open all the flowers in the same direction, and then we'll turn the plant. Once all the flowers are open, we'll turn the plant and to get the full display. It's it's a bit tricky to know when to spike. Some plants, they become obvious. So here's the Paphiopedilum limianum. The spike is pretty weak. It just it's very lanky and droops over. Now, we could have just let it grow naturally, but it was kind of getting hung up in this leaf, and I wanted to stake it. And that has, it's tricky to work with this one. And part of the art of staking is that the stake that we put in is way too tall for the planting. Now, I'm not sure how much farther this bloom is going to extend before there should be a secondary one. You can see the start of the continuation of the stem after the first bloom. But it's not gonna get that tall. So that stake is too tall for that plant, but hey, that's the only one I had around, so I just threw it in to prop it up. Other plants, they don't need a stake. So here's a couple other Paphiopedilums while we're here. Here's the bloom watch. The competition is now closed and only a couple people voted. Whatever. I know you'll all vote in the next one because, yeah, you've got nothing to lose. Anyways, they're still blooming slowly. The Bellatulum does not need to be staked, and the Tyanum is growing nicely without any stake. A lot of the Paphiopedilum. So here's another one, the Venustum album, still in bloom, so stays for a while. Now, I like to have the plants look natural, so That's why we plant ours more on the side, kind of drooping down. And of course, we have less problems with getting water trapped in between the leaves. It makes the plant a lot trickier to grow, I think. So here's one that we are growing more upright. Now, not staking these. This one, we could probably try to stake them, but on some of the orchids, like especially some of these phals, these are pretty, you can tell they're not super flexible. Now you could train it over time and put in like a spike right on, or a stake right on the edge of the pot, and then try to just, slowly straighten up the spikes. But now we've got two on opposite sides of the plant. When it is in bloom, it looks cool. You just got to turn it, and it's kind of hard to see some of the blooms that way under the leaves. Case in point, the Gigantea. If you are with our channel for a while, thanks. If not, if you're brand new to the channel, well, hey, like and subscribe. We showed this plant last year, and it flowered just completely under the leaves. So you couldn't, but again, I had a hard time trying to get it. Like, we couldn't stake it. It was a short inflorescence, short spike. There was no chance. It's pretty rigid, so there was no chance of staking it without breaking it. Stake it, but don't break it. Like it. So now when to stake a inflorescence, a spike, it just depends on the plant. Sometimes never. Like those guys. Yes, it finally opened. Right now, if we were gonna stake these spikes, we would do this now. Now, this is the little sister. These spikes are pretty flexible. So you can see, here's the keiki. Not really doing anything still. It's just still alive, and the roots are slowly growing. But anyway, you can see that this spike, these are pretty flexible. Like, you can bend this around quite easily. So this particular plant, besides being an amazing orchid, is great because it makes it very easy to stake them without breaking them. On a lot of these, it's not so easy. The drawback, growing it on its side. Now we've got like a couple of these. These are not winning any awards, right? Because they're all just like these spikes are just like all weird and crooked, and yeah. Now these we could probably stake up again. These are pretty flexible, so we could probably do this. This is hieroglyphica. Phal hieroglyphica, known for keeping its spikes like a sequential bloomer. And so we could stake these up. Maybe now would be a good time for this one. And just some more naturally growing, well, not naturally, but a little more, let's say, horizontal growth. Here's also a quick update on Project YouTube. This plant has this weird growing spike here coming out, and yeah, you can see how horrible I am at staking plants. This is a stake that has way too many spikes attached to it, I think, and yeah. It's all bent over because these wooden sticks, they rot, and eventually they just get pulled over. I like to grow my plants this way, but it makes things a little bit tricky with both roots and with spikes. Here's the other phal in Project Phal YouTube, the Tetraspis green. Seed cap still going along. This seed capsule, it's looking a little bit too light green and not like it's plumping up like I would hope. So I don't know, the hopes are diminishing on this one for being a good cross, but I guess you never know. We'll see. Other plants that maybe should be staked, although the inflorescences, the blooms typically don't need a stake on Cattleyas. The thing about staking them is that the plant could use a stake or two to hold them upright and keep them in shape. Otherwise, like, we don't do it, and yeah, we need to do and learn maintenance on the Cattleyas. So you can see we just don't really know yet the best way to kind of get them to grow in a reasonable fashion. That's still something we are learning about the art of staking. So just be gentle when you try to stake your spikes. Just wait until the spikes are a little bit longer and, kind of test them before you bend them. See how much flexibility they have. Slowly but surely, you can learn to stake your plants like this. Obviously, we are not there. And I don't know, I kind of prefer a different growth, a little more wild look, because we aren't trying to, win any awards with our plants. So I'm not worried about like people judging how the spike, whatever. Anyways, thanks for checking in, guys. Hope you're having a good one, and we will see you back here at El Pilar soon.